The gentleman from the oil-rich state of Oklahoma, the gentleman, the
And who
senator.
represents the two largest oil-producing counties in Oklahoma.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you. I'm glad we could end on a note of agreement with my good friend from Florida, because up to that point, we were moving in different directions. He's certainly right about a tendency, frankly, not just of presidents, but all politicians, ourselves included, to try and take as much credit as we can. The polls show how unsuccessful we've all been at that. But this is one, and I don't ever take issue with my friend in terms of the spirit of his remarks, but this is one I actually do disagree very profoundly. Look, I represent, as my friend, the chairman does, as my friend from Texas does, a district that is heavily connected to the domestic energy industry and foreign. Frankly, we do a lot of our companies drill overseas. A lot of them export oil manufacturing equipment and what have you. So it's a big part of our economy. And honestly, this administration has been unremittingly hostile to that industry. And if it had done so much to help them, I think the president would do better in energy-producing states and areas. And I think we just looked at a poll. The people that know the industry do not think he's been remotely helpful, and the people that work in it, and that's millions of Americans. But they have delivered in spite of, not because of the administration, and we are enjoying what the market has yielded. And again, as the chairman implied, if you compare leases and activity on private land versus federally owned land, it's down pretty dramatically on federal lands. It's up very substantially in the private sector. And so, again, that industry has delivered enormous benefits to the American people directly and indirectly, and now, frankly, is suffering almost. Not almost is. In my area, we're laying off hundreds of people now because we are producing so much more petroleum, and we have fundamentally changed the dynamics of the marketplace in a way that I certainly wouldn't have expected. I don't think the president anticipated. I don't think the government anticipated. It's just the ingenuity and hard work of the people in this industry that got it done. And they, by the way, I don't hear them complaining a lot about the ups and downs of the free market. They understand. I was talking to the CEO of one of our largest companies, and he was one of the founders of it. And he told me, Tom, you just have to understand in the energy industry, you've got to, if you don't plan for volatility, you're not going to be in business very long. That's the nature of our business. So they will go through it, but we shouldn't make it harder for them. And the idea that we would, sit here and allow Iran to export petroleum and not allow Americans. We're the only country in the world, I'm informed, that does not allow petroleum. The only one. And that's just a mistake. Let the market work, and the people that are in it won't complain. My friend from Texas who testified has a very good point, though. I also have a couple of refineries in my district, and I understand the importance and trying to be careful in that regard, because we need a completely functioning energy industry, and the refining industry is a huge part of that. And my friend from Florida makes it. I have multiple wind farms in my district. I'm a big believer in renewable energy. We have biomass in our area. So been a proponent of the tax credit for the wind industry. I think it's a very important investment tool. We now get 17% of our electricity in Oklahoma from wind-driven power. So there you go. But so to my friend from Florida's point, Mr. Carbelos, that he's correct. And all of the above energy strategy is the right approach. But count me as a skeptic to think the president has been helpful in that regard where carbon-based energy is concerned, because he hasn't. But this is a really great underlying piece of bill. I'm sorry I missed it. I value your amendments. I think they're both very thoughtful amendments and worth the very, very serious consideration of this deal. So I look forward to this passage. And the other thing I look forward to, and I know there'll be partisan divisions to some degree, but this is actually going to be a bipartisan bill. My friends here at this panel indicate that there are a lot of Democrats and a lot of Republicans that agree on this industry, and hopefully we'll work it through the process. We'll see what happens on the other side. And around here, magically, sometimes legislation doesn't arrive in its purest form. It gets attached to something else. So if the president can't support it, and I'm very disappointed in his statement, because I think it's frankly factually incorrect, and I think more importantly bad policy for the country. Perhaps we can marry it with something that he likes better. You know, around here, you know, teaspoon of sugar makes the medicine go down. So maybe we can find something and get it. But I'm very pleased with you guys' contribution, what you've done. I know how hard you've worked on this in energy and commerce to get us to this point. And I know you've tried to bring us to consensus and by addressing some important concerns that relate to this bill, and I think those are worthy of serious consideration. So just thank both of you for being here. I really don't have a lot of questions. I just had to poke my friend from Florida a little bit and had to disagree with my president a great deal on this, but I think this is one where we're pursuing the right policy, and it will employ thousands of people, and it will come at a time when, frankly, we're having layoffs and difficulties in that industry, and we should remember that. We shouldn't, again, give to the Iranians what we're not going to give to the Texans, the Oklahomans, Louisiana, the people from Wyoming, big industry in California, Western Pennsylvania. This is now not just a few states. This is really important, you know, in Ohio, a lot of other places. So I think it's a big step in the right direction. Applaud your work on it. Yield back.